We just witnessed the most terrifying thing about the Houston Rockets as H-Town has officially gotten a Game 7 coming to the Toyota Center. The Rockets taking down the Warriors in Game 6. And boy, do I feel really confident about Game 7. Welcome in here to Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews, and I'm so happy you're here. And if you want the Rockets to keep winning, then keep hitting that subscribe button. I'm telling you, subscribe, the Rockets win. It's as simple as that. What a game tonight, 115 to 107. The Rockets come out, and yes, the score is not as lopsided as I'm making it seem, but the fourth quarter tonight was just otherworldly from the Houston Rockets. They outscored them 29-23 overall, but both benches were emptied. Nobody really had a dog in the fight by the end of the game. The Warriors put out their bench, then the Rockets put out theirs. We were up by 17 at one point after starting the fourth quarter just up by 2. It was a spectacular game, and I think that was the breakthrough we were looking for in so many different facets. And we'll talk about the box score in just a moment, but just overall, looking at this game, you're on the road, you're facing elimination for the second game in a row. To win, you got to go back, you get to go back home, so you're trying to get that energy up even though you're on the road against a Warriors team who has been dominant against you in previous series. You haven't won a playoff series since 2020. It's really all things pressed against you, and yet these Rockets came out here calm, cool, collective, and played fantastic throughout the game, kept the lead at a really good portion throughout the entirety of the contest, and then once it got to the fourth quarter, it was kind of back and forth. You had the Warriors late kind of cutting it to 2 to head into the fourth. Some kind of touchy fouls that, whatever, you win the game, they don't matter now. But at the end of the day, the fourth quarter, you're only up by 2, you go up, and you go crazy. There was at one point an 11-0 run by the Houston Rockets. They had a largest lead of 17, which was in the fourth quarter. It was fantastic, and that's where we get into the box score here. The Houston Rockets are led by none other than my man Freddie Vanvleet. I'm really contemplating, we talk about how much that the contract doesn't make sense for him to stay here next year, but he is fighting and fighting and fighting, and the veteran, the guy leading these young guys, I have to say it, if the Rockets win this series on the back of Fred VanVleet, I almost think you keep him around. Now that's one big portion you see, 29 points for him, although he was only plus 12 on the court. You got 12 points for Jalen Green, but the big bonus, I know the points aren't exactly otherworldly, plus 20 when he was on the court. Normally that number has been at best plus 4, plus 5. He has not been the normal Jalen Green that we know. When he is on the court, the Rockets are a better team. That has really not been the case this series, but today it for sure was. His defense was up there. His rebounding was definitely in a better spot. It was overall just a very, very good game all around from Jalen Green that you're not going to see on the box score. 1 for 6 behind the arc's not great. 3 for 11 from the field's not great. But the intangibles are there, and they were talking on the broadcast that if you are not hitting your shots, but you're doing the other things, it doesn't really matter, and that's why Ime Udoka tonight allowed him to play for a little bit more time. He only played 25 minutes in game number 5. He played 32 today, and that was with the last couple minutes being just garbage time for both teams. 21 points for Alperen Şengün. He goes for a nice double-double with 14 rebounds, also 6 assists. Speaking of it, want to go back to Freddie, 8 rebounds and 8 assists. He was really close to a triple-double. 14 points for Amin. He has another great game, including going 4 for 6 from the free throw line. And I continue to say the free throw line was so important, and it was really important for Steven Adams. He had a season high in minutes, had 9 free throws. I know he shot 16, and had 17 combined points. And on the court, as per normal Steven Adams, he was plus 15. That's just great. Looking at the Warrior stats real quick, really it was a two-man crew. It was Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, who both had 27 and 29 respectively. Everybody else, chump change. You had Moody coming off the bench with 13, Pajemski with 10 points off the bench. But besides that, there really wasn't much. And if you look at their plus minuses, it's all minuses across the board for pretty much anybody of note. The guys who have the plus, those are all the bench players. You look at Santos, Jackson Davis, Knox, Key, they're plus 7. That tells you right there, those 7 points at the end of the game, the Rockets not winning by as much as you think they would have, that's the reason why. So it's just a funny thing to look at, and obviously this Rockets team is come back, and now you force a Game 7. There's only been 13 teams in the history of the NBA to ever come back from a series in which you were down 3-1. The Rockets, however, have done it twice in their franchise history. So, can they do it again one more time against the Warriors, who have been such a pain? I'm not going to compare it to this because it is so different, but it's almost like you get to this round one, you have a 3-1 series deficit, and you're facing a team that is so been in your kitchen for the past however long at this point. It almost feels poetic for you if you get to win Game 7, you come back, you take them down. It almost feels like you're going to go on a big run at that point. That's the hope, and it's looking like that's a very real possibility. The scariest thing about this team is they figured out how to close games. That was such a big problem for them this year, and now all of a sudden, they have figured out one way or another, and I'm really liking to see that. And it's really thanks to the man, the myth, the legend, Fred VanVleet. His past 3 games have been so great. 29 points tonight, 26 points in Game 5, and although it was a loss, a 3-point loss in Golden State, 25 points in Game number 4. What's funny is we look at these stats and you look at the scores on the left, and you're thinking, man, that Game 4 was really close. The Rockets had a commanding lead, and they once again couldn't close it out. Well, Clay, close it out tonight, and say that game goes a different way. Say the Rockets are able to get a final shot. Say they close it out in a better fashion. We're talking about a series that's over right now. And obviously the panic is still there because you're the number 2 team in the Western Conference. So getting to a Game 7 at all in the first round is not the most ideal situation. However, at the same time, there's already a Game 7 in the Western Conference with Denver and the Clippers, so that's, one thing to look at. But also, you're a young team, and this is experience, and, the hope is to go out there and win come Sunday. That's obviously the hope. But when push comes to shove, this is obviously a great building and growing experience. Now, the big kind of question is, you win, you almost kind of put out there, okay, this team is legit. Maybe they go make a big trade in the offseason, but we'll see how much they're actually going to be aggressive. If they lose, those aggressive trades become very much in the picture for Giannis, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. And while those are still going to be questions no matter what happens at the end of the year, it makes it a little less of a topic of interest when you are able to come back from what was really a down-and-out series. You're down 3-1, and obviously getting it to a Game 7 in itself is great, but I almost feel like you need to win it to really kind of somewhat put the doubters behind you. Now, looking at the team stats today, free throw percentage was still way better than normal. I know it says 71.7, however, 16 shots from the charity stripe for none other than Steven Adams, and he had 9 of those, so still, he shot above 53%, which, funny enough, is his career free throw percentage, right at 53.3%. So, in all things considered, you take him out and you look at this Rockets team from the free throw line, especially the starters, 4 for 6 for Amon, 1 for 2 for Brooks, 5 for 7 for Şengün, 9 for 9 for VanVleet, which is just what we expect from Freddie at this point, and Jalen Green, although he didn't have a great shooting night from the field, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And then obviously the one thing on the bench, 9 for 16 for Adams. So the free throw percentage is a little bit skewed in that aspect, and that's why I like it. I think 71 is good considering you got a 50% free throw shooter out there shooting half basically of your free throws when it's all said and done. But a couple more interesting stat lines to look at. The field goal percentage for the Rockets was above Golden State for, of course, the second game in a row. The three-point percentage was about 40%, which is very good. Obviously, that's something that you really would like to have in these games, and it came through once again. But the big thing that I think is maybe going to be overlooked, 17 turnovers for Golden State, but we only got 12 points off turnovers, where we had 13 turnovers, and Golden State got 22 points off them. Now, 13 turnovers has kind of been the average this year for the Rockets, especially in the playoffs. 17 was a lot more for Golden State than they've had really in a majority of the games this season. So the turnover, although be forced by the Rockets, they do need to do a little bit better of a job on using those to their advantage and scoring on turnovers. 42 points in the paint. You just expect that from the Houston team, especially a lot of the double big lineup tonight. We saw Adams, we saw Eason, we saw Şengün. It was a lot of really the double big lineup all evening long. And again, Steven Adams, if you don't know why he shot 16 free throws, it's because Steve Kerr has this random epitome that he's going to continuously foul Steven Adams at certain points in the game to make him shoot free throws, because for whatever reason, when the Rockets, listen, I know that we're a good team. They have not been the best shooting team all year. But for whatever reason, he feels more comfortable with giving Steven Adams, a 50% free throw shooter, the line to go shoot than letting the Rockets have an offensive possession against his team who has Draymond Green. I was a little confused by that. I don't think it's the right choice, but I'm also not a NBA champion level head coach. So leave it to him. However, the past 2 games is where it's been really prevalent, and the past 2 games they've lost. Now, they were already behind when he started this tactic, so give it what you will, but I thought that was kind of interesting how that went. But big takeaways, Fred is great. The Rockets finally close out a close game, and you get another home game at Game 7 in the Toyota Center, and you have your home fans for what you could do for the 3rd time and come back from a 3-1 series deficit and face Ant and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's the hope. And to make that hope come true, hit the subscribe button. I promise you, it gives the Rockets a better percentage to win Game 7. I'm subscribing with all my YouTube's accounts. And plus, we got free Rockets content. What's better than that? We appreciate you, Rockets Nation. Game 7 Sunday. Whew, I'm ready for it. We'll see you next time here. Peace out on Rockets Digest.